Okay, this is Ohio political news here tonight, and not under the best circumstances, that's for sure. Just want to, I'm going to be talking about Charlie Kirk. This is an American hero, and unbelievable what took Charlie Kirk. So he was shot and killed today, and we've got to talk about this. Very, very sad day for us here. I almost don't even know where to begin. There's so much to cover here, but let me just show you this. I mean, this is how fragile life really is. If you look at this video right here. This is about 20 minutes. It's about 20 minutes before he was killed. Unbelievable. He's tossing out those MAGA hats to the crowd and stuff. And a brutal assassination there. I've got stuff. I think as the discussion goes on, I want to get our other guest in here tonight as well. Timothy Shea here with the MAGA Institute. I want to get you in. We're going to be talking about this. What a great American patriot. Trump has already ordered that the flags be flown at half-mast. I can't think of anyone. Let's just get right into it. I can't think of anyone that had a greater influence on the youth of today than Charlie Kirk. And I was talking to this Jewish young man. He was about 23 years old, and I had him on the podcast one time, and I was talking to him just recently, and I said, who was a bigger influence to you, Ben Shapiro or Charlie Kirk? And he said Charlie Kirk, and I was like, wow. The Turning Point USA, getting out to those campuses, this is just, almost words. You can't even find words to talk about this. But I think you were mentioning that there's also a spiritual dimension to this too. Should we start with that first?
Well, first, let me just address what you just said. That's exactly why they assassinated Charlie, because he was such an influence on young people, because he was changing minds, because we are at a turning point in our country, and he was turning people away from their hateful, divisive, violent worldview. Make no mistake, this is the fruit of the seeds that were planted on Bastille Day in the Revolution in France in the late 18th century, and that were watered and fed in the 1960s. And this is the fruit of that. This is the Red-Green Alliance. This is Marxism joined with Islam to destroy Western civilization from within. And this is a spiritual battle. When Jesus was tempted by the devil, tempted 3 times, right? One of those temptations was the devil took him up onto Mount Moab and said, bend your knee to me and I will give you all these kingdoms. How did Jesus reply? He didn't say you don't have the power to do that. He said, get thee behind me, Satan. Because make no mistake, Satan is the prince of this world. He's been given dominion of this world to take his best shot and to try to steal as many souls as he can. Well, he's losing. The left is losing politically. Young people more and more are turning to not just Donald Trump. This isn't a cult of personality. They're turning to the America First agenda because they want to live and raise a family in the America that their grandparents lived in and brought up a family. They don't want the America that they grew up in, that their parents grew up in. Young people today want the good old days for themselves. And that's why the left had to assassinate Charlie Kirk today.
It is just such a horrific death. And, I have a little bit of background, so I'll find it here. But he started off when he was in high school. This is such an
18
amazing
years
story.
Old.
He started off when he was in high school. He founded Turning Point USA when he was in high school, I believe. So he's still a senior. The whole story. He got started actually in 10th grade. He was working with a senator at the time, and helped with his campaign. And then that's a 10th grader. And then he did go to like the community college after high school, and he dropped out of that. And this one guy, this Montgomery or whoever, who had a lot of money, said, no, you're going to be an activist. I've heard you speak. You are phenomenal. And you're going to be a full-time activist. And they worked together. They formed Turning Point USA. But wow, what a story for such a young guy like that. Just 31 years old. But
31 years old, and look what he's accomplished in that short span. Really, I'm not grieving for Charlie, because if there's a silver lining, his death was immediate. I grieve for his beautiful wife, Erica, and their 2 little children. Their daughter's 2. I think their son's not 1 yet, or just turned 1. I grieve for us, Joe.
Oh, yes.
I grieve for America. But if the left thinks we're going to take this lying down, if they think that they've won, I grew up in the 70s, and I immediately thought back to Star Wars. If you strike me down, you can't win, Darth. If you strike me down, I'll become more powerful than you ever imagined. I think Charlie Kirk's legacy is only going to grow from here.
I think it's going to inspire, and I hope and pray to God that this is what happens, that it inspires others like him. Because when this first happened, the first thing that I said to myself was that Charlie Kirk cannot be replaced. There's no one who can replace him. This guy was charismatic to the tilt. Mm-hmm. He related to the youth. He was getting out to the colleges. That video that I was showing there, I mean, here, just look at the crowd. I mean, this crowd is...
I'm old enough to be his father, and I've been doing this more than a minute. I used to watch Charlie to see how he would engage with the left, because, Joe, as we both know, I've been blessed with a quick mind and a quicker tongue. A lot of times my tongue goes faster than my mind. I don't put the brakes on. But seriously, I used to watch Charlie to see how he would engage, and he did it with wit, and he did it with humor, and he could be acerbic at times if he needed to be, but he evinced a real empathy and a real concern for these people, especially the young people that came up that were transgender, and he showed a real human connection to them and sympathy for them, and tried to guide them back toward the path of the light and out of the darkness in which they were living. And look, Charlie, in 13 years, touched many more lives than any of us will.
Right. He did. I mean, he really did. And that's why I'm hoping that there will be some kind of a movement here with the younger generation, or another Charlie Kirk will be inspired, or even older
I think they created.
Charlie
I think they created 1 million Charlie Kirks today.
I hope so. That's why I'm hoping and praying. Now let's just dive for a minute or two into that spiritual area, or that first area that you were talking about, because I didn't quite catch all of it. So what were the dark forces involved here again?
Well, it's clearly the mainstream media and their overlords, the people that tell them. It's curious. If you think Operation Mockingbird ended in the 1970s, just go look at Gavin Newsom and all the Democrat politicians today. It's incredible how they always have the right words to say, and how those words are always exactly the same, Joe. And I mean incredible in the literal sense, as in not credible. It's clear that a memo goes out and they all chirp, chirp, chirp.
Okay, so what organizations, or what parties, or what groups, or even what countries do you think may have been responsible for this?
All the usual suspect. Tides Foundation, Bill Gates, George Soros, China, Russia maybe. Look, USAID got cut off, and these NGOs are starving for money. And what we saw today was the last dying gasp of a dying ideology. These people are on the ropes. They're losing, and they know it. They're losing demographically. That's why they've embraced Islam, right? Because the Muslims are outbreeding us 6-1. They're killing themselves with abortion and with transitioning their children. They're losing, they know it, and they're flailing out. And this is actually a desperate act.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's sunk in yet. Tomorrow it's going to hit even harder that they've just assassinated, the most influential person that dealing with college kids today, and doing such a fantastic job. Ken, are there any chats? I thought I saw a few of them. Let's just, if we got some chats, Yeah, if you're out there and you want to
no
chat or
problem.
get into the conversation, we would really appreciate it. That's why we're doing it live like this. Democrats have ruined America. Yeah, this is a hard day. Charlie was a force multiplier for good. Unbelievable. He was a martyr.
Pocahontas had to come out and immediately, what does she go for? Gun control.
Oh, I don't even want to hear about Pocahontas right now, because that's exactly what the left is going to do. They're going to start playing that
well,
game.
it's Pocahontas, though, Joe. She's a fake Indian.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know. But
Yeah,
they're
we
gonna
dubbed her
be calling
when she
to
was
take the
running
guns,
against my
take
friend
the guns,
Scott
take
Brown.
the guns.
Yeah, when she was running against my friend Scott Brown in 2010, we dubbed her Pocahontas, and unfortunately, somehow it got turned into Pocahontas. But and Jasmine Crockett showed her phony ratchet self again today. Lauren Boebert got up and requested a moment of prayer for Charlie, and she got all phony ghetto as she always does. You know, the privileged girl that grew up in the upper middle class white suburbs, pretending she's from the ghetto in Dallas. And when the speaker gabbled her down, she stormed out of the chamber. But look, Democrats are disgusting. This is no longer a debate over policy preferences, you know, whether the capital gains rate should be 27% or 25% or no. We are in a battle of good versus evil. And I know people say it's not right to demonize them. It's like, well, then they've got to stand up and start showing that they're not controlled by demons. Because right now, I think John Fetterman is the only Democrat in America that has even a semblance of a soul.
Yeah. Well, let's see here. So let me just give a little more detail here just for a minute or so. Of course, it happened at 12:10 p.m. The assassination occurred at 12:10, and that's Utah time. And again, he just got started. He was maybe 20 minutes into the whole thing. He was on the American Comeback Tour, Turning Point USA, and they're saying that the shot was fired from anywhere from 100 to 200 yards distance. And I think there is some video that I did see on X. You got some guy running around a rooftop of a building. They believe that was probably him. The latest updates say that the shooter's identity has not been officially identified. I don't know if you've heard anything other than that, but
he's not in custody. They arrested a man, an older white man, who was not the shooter. The shooter was identified as having wearing jeans, a black T-shirt, and a black mask, and carrying a long rifle. And this wasn't. That was a high-powered rifle crack. That was either a 30-06 deer hunting rifle, or maybe something military. I think something military would have been silenced. This was a loud crack, and it was not an AR. It was not a small caliber round.
And he shot one bullet.
One
shot.
And it was devastating, and Charlie died instantly. Well,
So
Charlie lost
if you play along those lines,
instantly.
the one shot, he's kind of like a marksman. And the fact that he's kind of gotten away, at least now, for the time being,
look, pros don't take center mass shots.
They don't take what?
Center mass shots. They don't hit center mass. They, a pro will go for the headshot.
Well, okay, but he was pretty close. He got him in the neck, and it still killed him. Maybe it was.
I think it got him a little higher than the neck.
Oh, did it? Maybe the jaw?
Well. I don't want to be too graphic. It wasn't just blood. Let's leave it at that.
Oh, wow.
It hit him like here and.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that tells me it's probably a marksman. I mean, there's
no question. It was a professional shooter.
Yeah, it's a kill shot, right?
Even from 200 yards, that shot is not easy.
Yeah, and he's under that tent and everything you saw there where he's throwing out the MAGA hats and he's under that tent. There's a lot of people around him and stuff. One shot, boom, kill shot, dead. Yeah, it sounds like this was a professional, absolutely. So the Utah Governor Spencer Cox described the incident as a political assassination. President Trump called Kirk a great and legendary person on Truth Social, mourning his death. Okay.
And Charlie wasn't a Catholic, but he was at Mass a couple weeks ago with his wife.
Uh-huh.
And she went up for a blessing. Didn't take communion, but she went for a blessing, and he stayed in the pew. Like I said, he wasn't Catholic, but I have
Oh, it was a
every
martyr's
confidence.
death. It was a martyr's death. If you've heard him speak about Christ, about God, about everything, I mean, he's
and
a
about Mary,
full-fledged
he came
preacher.
out.
Full-fledged,
He came out just a few
preacher.
days ago saying that Protestants don't give enough credit to Mary, and he was extolling Mary's virtues. Monday was the anniversary of Mary's birth. Like I said, he wasn't Catholic, but I have every confidence that he's got the beatific vision right now that he's with our Lord, and that's not just feel-good platitudes.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, I believe Jesus took him into heaven.
Absolutely. I've heard him speak a few times. He was no nonsense, no political correctness, and he's proclaiming God from the rooftops like we're supposed to. But he had the guts to do it in front of 20,000 college kids who, many of them are more liberal than you can imagine. And I've heard him give speeches and stuff when he started speaking about God, condemning the LGBTQ and all that, and getting just raucous applause, from the kids and some of the other people that were there. And this generation Z, I've talked to enough of them, they're more religious than you think.
Yeah.
They've been sold a bad bill of goods because they're living in a generation.
So is Generation Alpha. These young kids coming up in high school.
Oh yeah.
Look.
Now wait a minute. That's the next generation. Is Alpha?
Yeah, that's what they're calling it.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I guess they didn't realize they ran through the letters too quickly.
Well, yeah, they Generation X, and then they went to Z, and it's like, okay, now what? Okay, Alpha.
Well, no, the millennials were in between Gen X and Gen Z.
Hey, Ken, are you out there? Did you have anything you would like to say? Go ahead.
Well, it was just interesting that Charlie was supposed to be scheduled to come to Cleveland September 26th. So just a couple of weeks.
Where at
now.
In Cleveland?
Some Christian center in Cleveland.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he was making rounds. And I'll tell you what, last month, I know that he was at a Lincoln Day dinner type event because Jennifer Gross, who's been on the podcast a few times, she's a state rep here in Ohio, says, look who I'm having dinner with. And she was at the same table as Charlie Kirk. And
yeah, I was supposed to meet him in December out in Arizona.
Oh, yeah? Wow.
Timothy, what do you think of the whole thing with the CNN mentioning of Charlie just last night? I think it was. They were calling him out, or maybe it was during the day or whatever. But do you think? I mean, this was planned. You believe?
Well, there's no question this was planned.
More than,
in fact, we got an X post saying something big is going to happen tomorrow. It said Charlie Kirk's coming to my school. Something big is going to happen tomorrow with that, that dog face, that face. That's been sent to DHS and FBI, and it's being investigated at the highest level, I've been told. The CNN Van Jones.
Yeah, Van Jones
hit yesterday. It goes to what I was saying, that they have created, the leftist media and the Democrat Party have created an environment in which this is seen as okay. A recent survey came out, 55% think it's acceptable to assassinate President Trump. 48% thought it was acceptable to assassinate leftists. For 8 years, Joe and Kent, we prayed that nobody would take a shot at the milk chocolate messiah and martyr him. I literally prayed for Barack Obama's safety for 8 years. And we are not like them. Okay, there's a divide in this country, and it's irreparable. Either we're going to win or they are. And we had better not lose.
Yeah. Let me show you a little bit of video here. I'm pulling off X as we speak. I just happened to find this while you were talking. Okay, so this, look at the size of the crowd here. Look at the size of the crowd. They're all up on these buildings and everything, the rooftop right there. I mean, I didn't hear the estimate of the crowd. What do you think, 20,000 possibly? There's a lot of kids there. Look at that. They're all excited. There he is, Charlie. This is just the opening segment. He's tossing out the MAGA hats to everybody. Everybody's wearing the MAGA hats. There was not a bigger MAGA fan than he was. Handing them all out.
Not only that, but they showed a little video later, and they talked to kids that were coming up, and because the theme of this event was change my mind, right? Charlie was challenging them to change his mind, and of course, what was happening is he was changing their mind, and so at the end of every conversation he was having, he'd ask the kids, "So, did I change your mind?" Mm-hmm. And one guy was sheepish, and he said, "Let's just say, can I have a hat?" And Charlie laughs and tosses him a hat. And he was just a good guy. He was a regular guy, He was a bloke. He wasn't phony. He wasn't a grifter. He wasn't one of these preening narcissists that we see so often. And yet these harpies on The View, I could just hear them already tomorrow because I heard them all over TikTok and X today. TMZ was doing a live stream, guys, and you hear cheers erupt in the background, and then the guy that was hosting the live stream said, Donald Trump has just reported that Charlie Kirk is dead. They were literally cheering his death, and we've got video after video. People are posting them all over X, make these people famous, showing them celebrating this.
Yeah, I know. It's sicko. It's sicko. It's sicko.
It's worse than sick. It's
all right. Here's that guy you were mentioning. This is the one they initially thought was the gunman.
Is that the bald guy?
He's not bald. He's older. He's got the white shirt on.
Yeah, but he's bald with like a white monk's tonsure.
So anyhow, for some reason they thought he was the suspect. Let me see if I can rewind it here. They thought he was. There's a picture of him there. They thought he was the suspect.
Yeah, that wasn't he.
But
he was in the crowd. This shooter was on the roof.
Yeah, the shooter was definitely on the roof, and like you said, it was a marksman. Boy, he hit the bullseye with one shot, a kill shot. Boom, that's it. Wow, Kash Patel's got to get everybody on this case.
They already are. No, the one thing we can have confidence in is that DHS and FBI are all over this.
You were talking about his Catholic. He's not Catholic, but here he is on this X post with, who is that? Taylor Marshall? Is that his name?
Yeah, Dr. Taylor Marshall.
Dr. Taylor Marshall is a big, strong Catholic. So they were talking together and stuff. So,
Charlie was a devout Christian. There's no mistake about that.
He was a devout Christian, absolutely.
He wasn't lukewarm about his faith either. So,
not at all.
That's why
he was an evangelist. When you think about it, he's kind of like an evangelist. You don't have to walk. An evangelist. Today we've got the whole wrong mentality about it. The evangelist today is he's in the church. And he's talking to people in the church, and he's being politically correct with everything he says. And then when he walks out of the church, he doesn't open his mouth.
Yeah,
because he's been conditioned that that's not polite, or that's not right, or that's not something you do.
Yeah,
but
Kirk I'm Irish,
was
right, Joe?
Absolute preacher.
The WASP culture in which we grew up said you don't talk about religion, sex, or money, and of course. I'm Irish, and so I'm thinking, what do you talk about then?
What the heck is left? There is nothing left to talk. I always said that there's only two things you should be talking about in life. One is politics, and the other is religion. That's it, because nothing else matters. That is the sum and substance of everything right there. Politics, religion. Everything else takes a second seat. And so it's kind of ridiculous if you hear people say, well, don't talk about politics or religion. Get out of here. That's the only thing that's really worth talking about. He's going to get us fired up. Charlie Kirk is going to get more people fired up with his death than he was at any of these rallies. I got to tell you, because everybody is going to get like, well, it's time for us to take action now.
Yeah.
You need that.
Well, as you said, the president has already ordered the flags to half staff nationwide. Let's all keep an eye out and see if our post offices and government buildings do that. And even more importantly, see whether McDonald's does, see whether Wendy's does, see whether any of these private companies lowers their flags to half staff, because that will be a barometer right there.
Well, that's a barometer, and also the barometer of just people getting out and being activists now, following in his footsteps. He set the example. Now it's time for us to follow in his footsteps, and start fighting for things.
Andrew Breitbart was taken from us too soon, and my MAGA Institute partner, Brooke McGowan, was actually the last person to ever interview Andrew. Yes, he had cardiac issues, but I don't believe he died from a heart attack.
Well, yeah, that's possible. Breitbart,
or at least I don't believe he died of a natural heart attack.
Yeah.
We all know CIA has a heart attack gun. They've had it since the 70s.
So, any last thoughts on this? This is ongoing. We got to bring this up. God only knows what's going to happen tomorrow, but it was like we had to speak something about this event. It's just
Father Mike Schmitz was on with Megan. Father Mike Schmitz was on with Megyn Kelly earlier, and he said something that I think bears repeating. He said, "Anger is justified. Anger is a human emotion and a reactive emotion, right?" He said, but anger is like wet concrete. You can push it around, you can shape it. He said what we have to guard against is allowing that concrete of anger to set and become hatred, to become hardened, like resentment. So yes, feel the anger, but get inspired by Charlie's life and ask what you can do to carry the torch that he carried.
Well, yeah, we can ask, but there's so much that's so obvious.
Everybody out there needs to ask themselves, what can I do?
Yeah, everybody needs to ask themselves
to carry the torch that Charlie so bravely carried.
Yeah.
Because if we allow this to go as just another news cycle event, then it's going to be meaningless. Let's make his death have meaning. Yeah. If you've never been active, now's the time to get active.
Exactly, and pray for him.
The president just did a 4-minute video. If you want to watch it, I'll play it for you guys. Came on X. Run it here. It is.
Fellow Americans, I am with grief and anger, heinous assassin of Charlie Kirk on a college campus in Utah. Charlie inspired millions, and tonight all who knew him and loved him are united in shock and horror. Charlie was a patriot who devoted his life to the cause of open debate and the country that he loved so much, the United States of America. He fought for liberty, democracy, justice, and the American people. He's a martyr for truth and freedom, and there's never been anyone who was so respected by youth. Charlie was also a man of deep, deep faith, and we take comfort in the knowledge that he is now with God in heaven. Our prayers are with his wife, Erica, the 2 young, beloved children, and his entire family, who he loved more than anything in the world. We ask God to watch over them in this terrible hour of heartache and pain. This is a dark moment for America. Charlie Kirk traveled the nation, joyfully engaging with everyone interested in good faith debate. His mission was to bring young people into the political process, which he did better than anybody ever, to share his love of country and to spread the simple words of common sense. On campuses nationwide, he championed his ideas with courage, logic, humor, and grace. It's a long past time for all Americans and the media to confront the fact that violence and murder are the tragic consequence of demonizing those with whom you disagree day after day, year after year, in the most hateful and despicable way possible. For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now. My administration will find each and every one of those who contributed to this atrocity and to other political violence, including the organizations that fund it and support it, as those who go after our judges, law enforcement officials, and everyone else who brings order to our country. From the attack on my life in Butler, Pennsylvania last year, which killed a husband and father, to the attacks on ICE agents, to the vicious murder of a healthcare executive in the streets of New York, to the shooting of House Majority Leader Steve Scalise and others, radical left political violence has hurt too many innocent people and taken too many lives. Tonight, I ask all Americans to commit themselves to the American values for which Charlie Kirk lived and died, the values of free speech, citizenship, the rule of law, and the patriotic devotion and love of God. Charlie was the best of America, and the monster who attacked him was attacking our whole country. An assassin tried to silence him with a bullet, but he failed, because together we will ensure that his voice, his message, and his legacy will live countless generations to come. Today, because of this heinous act, Charlie's voice is bigger and grander than ever before, and it's not even close. May God bless his memory, may God watch over his life, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Yeah, very good. Wow. Yeah, I guess that kind of sums it up pretty well there with Charlie Kirk. I don't know what else there is to say about it. We'll see what tomorrow brings. Oh, he got a chat here. It says, I grew up in Greene County, Ohio, and we feared God enough to not do those things. We had the flag and God in school. I'm 61. We had respect. And to many people taking prescription pills, that's 1 in 5 people. May God save America from the evil. Yep. It's definitely was evil. Absolutely demonic. You know, people. Satan is alive and well. There's no doubt about it. And all his demons, they're alive and well. And they wanted to knock off Charlie Kirk because of the great messaging and things he was doing for the youth. And but I'm just hoping that there's going to be an uprising now, and more of us are going to follow in his footsteps. You have a last word there, Timothy, and we'll call it a night. But hey, thanks again for coming on. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Happy to be with you, even under such sad circumstances. Charlie lived fast, burned bright, and was taken from us too soon. Dona nobis, requiem aeternam, Dona Charles Domini, et lux perpetua luceat eis, requiescat in pace. Amen.
Amen.
May
Good night.
eternal rest grant unto Charlie, Lord. May eternal light shine upon him. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. God bless. We'll see you. Good night.